Chosen one, I need your full attention, because what I'm about to say will finally explain the pattern you've lived with for as long as you can remember. The feeling that you don't belong here, the weight you carry that nobody else seems to notice, and the loneliness that can hit you even when you're surrounded by people. That isn't your imagination. You aren't crazy, and you are not like the others. You are an incarnated angel. I'm not saying that as a compliment or a poetic label. I'm naming an identity you've sensed in fragments, an origin you've tried to forget so you could survive long enough to complete what you came to do. And here's what will disturb you most. The attacks against you were never random. Lucifer does not come after you out of boredom or blind hatred. He comes after you because your very presence threatens the structure he has built across ages: fear, deception, spiritual sleep, and the slow dimming of human souls. He targets you because if you fully awaken, you become a living disruption to his kingdom. That's why your life has felt like resistance. That's why rejection has followed you without logic. That's why betrayal has cut deeper than normal. That's why it often seemed like the universe itself turned against you right as you were about to rise. It all makes sense once you understand you're not a regular human, simply having a hard life. You are a celestial warrior moving through enemy territory, operating under pressure while your true memory was kept behind a veil. Subscribe to this channel immediately and hit that notification bell, because I'm going to lay out how to recognize if you're truly an incarnated angel, why the darkness has invested so much to stop you before full awakening, what your mission is on this planet, and what happens when the powers that have been dormant within you finally activate. And if you felt your entire life that you came here with a purpose you can't fully recall, as if your assignment is carved into your soul but locked behind a door in your mind, then you already know why these words are finding you now. Let me start with something many people in organized religion never explain with clarity. Scripture shows again and again that heaven's messengers can move through human spaces, carrying divine assignments while appearing ordinary to the crowd. Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? Hebrews 1:14. That isn't decoration, that is function. Angels are sent. They serve, they move, they intervene, and because the spiritual realm overlaps the physical, your world is not as closed as people pretend. That's why the word also warns, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, Hebrews 13:2, because sometimes what looks ordinary is not ordinary at all. But here is what almost nobody tells you. Not every incarnated angel arrives fully conscious of what they are. Many live for years feeling profoundly different, like an outsider in their own life, like someone playing a role while everyone else seems to know the script. You try to blend in, you try to be normal, you try to follow the rules of the world, and yet something in you keeps whispering, this is not home. This is not all you are. That whisper is not delusion. It's memory pressing against the veil. And there's a reason your celestial memory was blocked. If you had known since childhood what you truly are, dark forces would have attempted to eliminate you before you could complete your mission. The block was not punishment, it was protection. Your human consciousness needed time to develop strength, discernment, and stability so that when the truth began to surface, you wouldn't collapse under its weight. God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1-7. That self-control, that inner steadiness, had to grow in you first. Awakening always comes, but it comes when you can carry it. Now, I'm going to give you the 7 unmistakable signs. The more you recognize, the more the fog lifts. And once you see it clearly, you won't be able to unsee it. First sign, existential loneliness. Not the loneliness of not having enough friends, but the kind that exists even in a full room. You can be loved and still feel empty, as if part of you is missing a place you can't name. It feels like homesickness without an address. Regular humans feel lonely when they're isolated. Incarnated angels can feel lonely in crowds because your frequency is different and your origin is different. You can connect, you can care, you can love deeply, but there remains a layer of you that stays untouched by human contact. That is not coldness, that is distance between dimensions. Our citizenship is in heaven, Philippians 3:20. If that line hits you like a bell, it's because your soul recognizes it. Second sign, empathy that overwhelms. You don't just understand others' emotions, you absorb them. You walk into a room and the atmosphere enters you. Pain, stress, grief, joy, fear, rage. Sometimes you feel it before anyone speaks, and you can't always switch it off. People think you're moody or intense, but they don't see the invisible weight you carry. You leave gatherings exhausted, even when you did nothing physically demanding. You weren't tired from talking. You were tired from processing what others refused to face. This is why you're drawn to healing, to comfort, to truth, to restoration. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Many times you were pulled into that healing work before you even understood what it was. Third sign, unexplainable rejection since childhood. I'm not talking about normal conflict. I mean a visceral resistance certain people had toward you for no reason. A relative who treated you like you were different. A teacher who was irritated by you without cause. Friends who turned cold when you did nothing wrong. You wondered what you did, but the truth is, often it wasn't about what you did, it was about what you carry. Some people react to incarnated angels because their spirit senses exposure. Your light disturbs what they keep hidden, and rather than face themselves, they try to silence the mirror. Everyone who does wicked things hates the light. John 3:20. They may not know why they dislike you, but their darkness recognizes your frequency. Fourth sign, an intolerance for falseness. You can't fake it for long. You can't wear masks without feeling like you're betraying something sacred inside you. You can't smile through lies without feeling sick in your spirit. While others treat hypocrisy as social survival, you treat truth as oxygen. This is why you've walked away from relationships, jobs, and circles that looked good on the outside but felt dead on the inside. It's not that you enjoy conflict, you just can't live in contradiction. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Romans 12:9. That isn't just a verse to you, it's your wiring. Fifth sign, gifts that appear spontaneously. Maybe it's intuition so accurate it scares you. Maybe you know who is lying before they finish the sentence. Maybe you can sense danger before it arrives. Maybe your presence brings peace, and people confess things to you without knowing why. Maybe animals trust you, children feel safe, strangers open their hearts. These are not random quirks. They are traces of what you are. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. 1 Corinthians 12:7. Gifts are not trophies, they are tools for mission. Sixth sign, intensified spiritual opposition. Not ordinary bad luck, but patterned sabotage near breakthrough. You're about to step into something meaningful, and suddenly everything collapses. A relationship implodes, an opportunity evaporates, your health dips, your support disappears. You keep thinking, why does it always happen right when I'm about to rise? Because darkness monitors destiny. It tries to crush what could shift the field. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion. 1 Peter 5:8. A roaring lion roars to intimidate. Many of your battles were meant to scare you back into hiding, but the more they attacked, the more it revealed your importance. Seventh sign, a homesickness for heaven. A quiet longing you can't explain. Sometimes you look at the sky and feel a sudden ache. Sometimes music breaks you open. Sometimes silence makes you cry. You miss something you can't name. It isn't depression, it's memory. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. Colossians 3:2. Your mind naturally drifts upward because your origin is upward. If you recognize 5 or more of these signs, stop calling it coincidence. The truth is pressing on you because your season is changing. And now, the next question matters. Why would you willingly incarnate into a world this dense, this painful, this violent, when you could have remained in realms of light? Here is the answer that reframes your entire life. You came on a rescue mission. Earth is at a turning point, and the choice is not made in distant heavens. It is made here in flesh and time, through the decisions souls make day by day. Humanity either rises into greater consciousness or sinks deeper into fear and division. But most people are spiritually asleep. They cannot elevate the frequency alone. They need anchors of light. They need beings who can carry heaven's resonance inside a human body while living inside a world that tries to numb the soul. You are one of those anchors. You willingly left realms of peace and clarity. You accepted temporary forgetting. You agreed to endure rejection, betrayal, loneliness, and pain so you could be here at this hour, holding the line when others collapse. Arise, shine, for your light has come. Isaiah 60:1. That command is not for spectators, it is for carriers, those sent to stand up when darkness thickens. Now, let me reveal why Lucifer's envy toward you is so vicious. He was once an angel too, radiant, powerful, close to glory. But his fall was a choice. Pride over love, ambition over worship, self-exaltation over obedience. And when he fell, he pulled others into rebellion. But you made the opposite choice. You descended voluntarily, not through rebellion, but through love and service. You humbled yourself into limitation for the sake of a mission. You are what he refused to be. Your existence is a living reminder of what he lost. That's why he attacks you with such intensity. It is not random hatred, it is corrosive envy. He sees in you the glory he forfeited, and he cannot stand it. And he knows something you might not know yet. When an incarnated angel fully remembers and their dormant power activates, they become a threat hell cannot control. That's why the pressure has increased. That's why the attacks have sharpened. It's because you are close. So, what happens when an incarnated angel awakens? I'm going to tell you, and I won't sugarcoat it. life doesn't become easier, it becomes more powerful, and that power changes everything. First, transformation. Immunity to manipulation. The attacks that used to penetrate you begin to ricochet. Not because you built 1,000 defenses in fear, but because your frequency rises beyond what lower darkness can latch onto. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. When your identity locks into truth, intimidation loses its grip. The attack may come, but it can't anchor. Second transformation, clarity of mission. The confusion that followed you begins to dissolve. You may not receive the whole map, but you will receive the next step clearly. And as you obey, the next step appears. We walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. You won't need to see everything to move. You will only need the next instruction, and it will come. Third transformation, spiritual magnetism. The right people begin to show up with impossible timing, not casual coincidences, but divine appointments that feel arranged with precision. And the wrong people begin to fall away, sometimes abruptly, sometimes painfully, but it's cleansing. Your awakened frequency becomes incompatible with manipulation, stagnation, and performance. So the old ties break. It hurts, but it frees you. Fourth transformation, activation of gifts. What was faint becomes strong. Intuition becomes accuracy. Empathy becomes healing presence. Discernment becomes spiritual sight. These are not new powers you gain. They are powers you always carried, held back until you were mature enough to wield them without pride or collapse. The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. What was placed in you was not temporary, it was assigned. Fifth transformation, sacred solitude deepens. Yes, aligned people will come, but much of your path will still be solitary because your mission requires you to sustain frequencies few can hold consistently. You learn to love solitude not as abandonment, but as communion. The eternal God is your dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy 33-27. You stop begging the world to hold you because you learn what is truly holding you. Sixth transformation, unshakable peace inside chaos. Storms may still happen, but you stop being ruled by them. Your core becomes steady. You don't become numb, you become anchored. You will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. Isaiah 55-12. Peace becomes your posture, not your reward. But with awakening comes responsibility. And this is where many incarnated angels fail. They discover what they are, but they don't live like it. Your first responsibility is radical authenticity. You cannot compromise truth to fit in. You cannot lower your frequency to make people comfortable in darkness. You cannot pretend to be less than you are, so fragile, egos don't feel threatened. Some will call you arrogant. Ignore them. They confuse humility with shrinking. Real humility is truth without inflation and without denial. Your second responsibility is service without self-destruction. Yes, you're here to help, but you did not come to burn out. Too many light bearers empty themselves trying to save everyone, and then their light goes dim. You must learn balance, to give and to receive, to serve and to rest, to pour out and to be replenished. Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40-31. Waiting is not weakness, it is refueling. Your third responsibility is discernment about who you help. You cannot save everyone, and you are not meant to. Some people refuse transformation. Some only want to feed on your light while staying the same. Learn the difference between those who are ready and those who are parasites. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Galatians 6-7. Truth eventually exposes motives. Your job is not to rescue what refuses to rise. Your fourth responsibility is sustaining light without recognition. Much of your work will be invisible. You won't always be thanked. You won't always be understood. Some people will be helped by your presence and never know. You must be okay with that. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men. Colossians 3:23. Your reward is alignment, not applause. Now, let me tell you what is coming in your immediate future, because the signs are already appearing, and if you misread them, you may call a blessing a curse. Your life will reorganize in 3 areas. In relationships, there will be separations followed by connections that feel miraculous. People you thought would stay forever may leave, sometimes through conflict, sometimes by fading away. It will hurt, but do not chase what can't travel with your awakening. The separation is not cruelty, it's compatibility ending. Then, just when you think you're alone, people who understand you without explanation will appear, souls who recognize your light because they carry it too. In work and purpose, dissatisfaction will intensify toward anything not aligned with your mission. Jobs you tolerated will become unbearable. Paths you built for security will feel empty. You will feel urgency to change. Don't resist it. Your soul is pulling you toward the assignment. Opportunities will appear that may not look safe on paper, but you will feel resonance. Follow that resonance. In inner peace, chronic anxiety will begin to dissolve. Thought loops lose power. The constant sense of danger gets replaced by quiet trust. Problems may still exist, but you stop being defined by them. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. That is not just comfort, it is authority. And here's what you must know. You are not awakening alone. Other incarnated angels are waking up across the world. Not many, but enough. And they are being guided to recognize one another. Because when awakened angels connect, their combined field becomes unstoppable. That is why darkness worked so hard to isolate you, to make you doubt yourself, to convince you you were the only one, to keep you silent. Isolation weakens. Recognition strengthens. When you meet another awakened, incarnated angel, you will know. There will be a wordless recognition, like ancient familiarity. These encounters are not random, they are appointments. Pay attention, because that person may be part of your mission. Now, let me give you a final warning. Awakening is not a single event. It is a process. It comes in layers. Each layer reveals a deeper layer beneath it. Each level brings new responsibility and often new resistance. The more light you carry, the more darkness will try to put it out. But that is not punishment. It is proof you've entered a higher level of the assignment, and every time you face a higher test, you are given higher capacity. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. He will also provide the way of escape. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Provision is built into the trial, even if you can't see it while you're inside it. So now you know, You are not a regular human having occasional spiritual moments. You are an incarnated angel on a rescue mission during a critical hour in planetary history. Your feeling of not belonging finally has a name. You don't belong here because your origin is not here. Your loneliness is not a defect. It's the cost of carrying a different frequency. Your attacks were not random. They were systematic opposition against a soul that threatens darkness. Lucifer does not invest this level of warfare into insignificant lives. The intensity of your battles is the measure of your mission's importance. The protections are activating, the gifts are waking, the right connections will appear, and even when the path is demanding, you will not be alone, not anymore. If this message struck your spirit like recognition, if it resonated beyond logic, write 777 inches the comments as a signal that you are ready to walk awake. Subscribe and activate notifications if you want more guidance on how to operate in your angelic nature without burning out. Share this with someone who has always felt out of place, because light bearers must recognize each other, and recognition strengthens the network that is transforming this planet. And before you go, click the next video on your screen, because I'm going to show you how your angelic nature activates sustained protection and sharpened discernment, so you complete your mission with endurance, purity, and authority. Together, we are stronger.